guided by
We're
the
also
light of
joined in by
faith,
Father Paul
and
Telekot, who
encourage
would,
us to
in
live
fact, give us an idea of what was happening at the St. Peter's uh, Basilica, at St. Peter's Square. Father Paul, of course, we are getting the direct feed from St. Peter's Square. It is a momentous occasion. It is this. Though we talk about funeral, it is about the celebration of a life, a period in papacy which did see a lot of outreach to those people who were considered to be at its margins. How do you, in fact, see Pope Francis's legacy?
You see, he is the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church. In fact, he became the spiritual leader of the world, especially of the marginalized and the downtrodden and the suffering. That is the most important thing in the world. He was always the voice of the poor and depressed, and also the outcast, the marginalized, and the persecuted. That is the most important thing in exercising his spiritual power leadership in the world. So he became the conscience of the world in matter of fact. He was expressing always the voice of the poor and the ordinary man in the street. And above all, he exercised himself as a spiritual leader. He criticized even President Reagan, President Trump, for his racial attitude, and also he was very critical about other world leaders in expressing the sense of humanity, sense of humanism in the world. He was very much to the people of Arabian nations, especially to the Islam. You know that Christianity and Islam are the two world religions, and there is a prophecy that the coming is conflict of civilizations. It means war between the West and the Arabian countries. So he wanted to see that this war, which is prophesied by certain people, will never occur. That is the reason he traveled to 14 Arab nations to establish love and friendship between Christianity and Islam and the Muslim faith world. That is the most important contribution that he made in the world. Secondly, I must say, he was also reconstructing authority within the church. He was introduced the notion of synodality, which is not his idea, which was existing in the early church. It was also existing in the Second Vatican Council as well. He wanted to see that authority is exercised through conversation and talking and life of way of talking, and the way of talking is dialogue. And he said that hearing hearing the other is the most important thing. So he said our ears are the most sensitive and moral organs of our body, and therefore hearing the other people, listening to them, attending to the people, that's the most important thing in exercising leadership. And also he said everyone, even the poor, depressed, even the uneducated should be heard. The voice of the God is in dialogue, in dialogical. Everyone is imbibed with the spirit of God, and he said everyone must be heard. And in exercising authority, the dialogical procedure, dialogical way of life, which he called synodality, is the way one should exercise authority in the church. That was a way of deconstructing authority within the church. And outside the church, he was a man of spirituality, of humanism, understanding the human problem and the tragedies that are taking place in different parts of the world. In his autobiography, which is called Hope, he speaks about at present there are 52 wars taking place in different parts of the world. This is the greatest tragedy that can happen to a human being. And the worst suffering people are the children as well as women in the places wherever there is war taking place. He was always for peace, and he said peace can be established only by conversation and dialogue, and that is absent. When there is no dialogue, there is imposition of a certain will on other people, and that is what can be becoming some sort of religious uh, 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 intolerance, religious intolerance, as well as intolerance of political life, is creating war and strife in the world. Therefore, he was always standing for peace, love, and brotherhood. And therefore, he was a man who dedicated himself to the cause of the world, cause of the spirit, cause of the peace, cause of love in the world. And that is why he is known as a spiritual leader of the world. He was always expressing himself, the conscience of the world, the conscience of people, ordinary people, and the suffering people who are marginalized and downtrodden. That is
Well,
all what I can
also
say,
Father Paul
and that is
Talakat,
what the
we
spirit.
have seen how he has in fact been able to get the marginalized within the framework of the church, but he's also a person who gave a lot of importance to ensure that schisms, old schisms, were in fact healed. In fact, he's one of those popes who has been very close to the Eastern Orthodox Church. He's been has got very good ties with the ecumenical patriarch in Constantinople, or today's Istanbul. And there were even talks at a point of time where the unity could have been achieved. It's been one of the biggest schisms that Pope Francis has been trying to heal also.
Yes, sir. He is a man who always wanted unity. He said unity in multiplicity, that is the aim of his life. Unity in plurality, that is what he always stated. There is lot of difference, and differences can be tolerated and made into unity. That kind of harmonious union of differences is what makes a church, what makes a human community. The human community involves so many different races, different colors, different languages. These kind of differences, whatever they may, they can be conjoined and keep harmony, and that harmonious relation is what makes unity everywhere. That kind of unity within the church is a possible thing. He always worked for unity, and he embraced everyone, every church, every particular church, whatever is possible, and he was always standing for unity. He said even his pontificate, papacy can be renounced for the sake of unity in the church.
Right within the 24 grouping church when you talk about the entire universal Catholic Church. Now, within that, in fact, how do you in fact see India? India has in fact two major archbishops who would be who are also who have been leading particular churches, and at the same time you'll have one cardinal from the Syro-Malabar Church, one from the Syro-Malankara Church. We have a Dalit Cardinal, Anthony Pula, and we also have from the wider Latin Church in India, who is going to be in the conclave to vote for the next pope. But when it comes to these particular churches, he has also been, as you said, embracing these identities, these rites that are there. And in Kerala, it's a very unique thing. You have the Catholic Church has got three rites when it comes to Kerala alone, and when it comes to India at large. So, how do you see India's representation when it comes to that diversity?
Pope was very interested in visiting India, and he would have come to India, but unfortunately it did not happen. But still, is a person who loves the marginalized people, the small churches, and he was been very particular to love the Syro Malabar as well as Syro Malangara Church. Syro Malangara Church and Syro Malabar Church have also two cardinals, and they represent also the church which is small. The Eastern churches, that is very important. Eastern churches are very often encouraged and also given all types of positions in the church. That is very important. Now, if you look at the cardinals in the Catholic Church, it has moved away from the Europe and gone to all types of people, every type, every nation, every race, every language. That is the very particularity of the Pope Francis. Even he took up the name Francis. That is also a name which nobody has taken up in the history of the papacy, and he is the one who has taken up the name of Francis Assisi, who in the third crusade departed from the customary and the crusaders and went to meet the sultan, and he made friendship with him. This is also typical of the present Pope Francis. He wanted to make friendship with everyone, and whoever is estranged he wanted to bring to other, and also every church, every nation, every culture, every language. He tried to bring into the cardinal in the college of cardinals also. That is why he made a, a, new Christian, a new community, also a cardinal among them, and that is why he made representation of every type of particularity within the church. That kind of representation to every particular community in the world has been made an important dimension, so that both are everybody is respected, honored, and revered and accepted as equal partners. That is what he said. If you look into the last synod of synodality in 224, you see so many laymen even appointed with full voting powers within the synod. There were more than 396 members in the synod, out of which 97 were not non-bishops. It is remarkable that he invited lay people, women, sisters into the synod, which is never heard. Synod of bishops is always members of the bishop only. But this is what he did. He made history by appointing lay people, priests, religious people into the synod, so that everybody's voice is heard, everybody's voice is respected, everybody's voice is also heard properly and understood. This is the church, where the church is not homogeneous or hegemony of any group. It is also represented by every people, every type of people, every community of language, and also race and community. This is so typical of Pope Francis, and this is why he is respected everywhere in the church. He is honored everywhere in the church. He is revered in all over the church.
Well, Father Paul Talcott, the other question that has been asked by many is that, we have seen a Polish Pope, especially during the time when the Soviet Union was there. Then we saw a Pope from Germany, and then we had a Pope from Argentina, from South America. The question now being asked is that, is there a possibility for an Asian Pope? Is there a possibility from a Pope emerging from Africa? Because the countries, in fact, have these, a majority of them now, the Catholic Church being reliant on all, as you pointed out, to these continents as well, emerging areas for the Catholic Church as such. So is it possible that we would be able to see an Asian Pope or an African Pope?
This is a very good question that you are asking. Now the church has moved away from Europe. It has gone to Argentina. It can also go to Asia. It can also go to Africa. After all, Asian church is so strong a church. After all, African church is, with its number of people, very strong church. They have they are the cardinals there. They have the cardinals also in India. Now it depends on the college of cardinals of 120 people. They are the people to decide who must succeed for Francis, and in that the criterion will not be Europe anymore. There will be what is important is the human dimension of the person, the greatness of the person, the universal attitude of the person, that the person who is dear to everyone in the church, and that kind of attitude is already there. Therefore, a person like Francis, if he can come from Argentina, a person of like person can come also from Asia, Africa. That
Right.
is also possible in the future.